Coming in. Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello, and hello. It's good to see everybody here on Monday Night Live. Always a pleasure to have our group come back together every second and fourth Monday. So we're happy to see you. We're just going to give it one more minute. Folks are coming in. I know everybody's coming home from work and other things. So we're happy to see you here. Hello, good evening. Good evening, everyone. If it's your first time here, we always want to know that. So please make sure you drop that in the chat and let us know it's your first time. To our old faithfuls and regulars, welcome back. Always good to provide insight and to share. I'll be sharing a couple of things. Yes, hi, Miss Royetta. Yes, oh yes, we definitely want to utilize our chat. So please, please, please feel free. If you see somebody that should be on that's not on, go and shoot them a text real quick and tell them it's Monday Night Live time at 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. And I am ready to get started. We like to be D-free with our time as well. So let us get ready. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Live, where we meet on every second and fourth Monday from 7 p.m. Eastern, usually around 8 p.m. Eastern, but we end early every now and then because, like I said, we want to be D-free with your time, where we come together celebrating all things D-free Academy, as well as D-free Global Foundation Incorporated, where our CEO and founder is Dr. DeForest B. Soares Jr. So welcome. If it's your first time here, we want to make sure that you let us know. We want to officially welcome you to the Monday Night Live family, because that's what we are, family. And as always, just to go over a few housekeeping tips. And here they are. Drum roll, please. We just ask that you remain muted in order to minimize distractions and also microphone feedback. Sometimes we double up when we hear, but we do encourage you to unmute yourself if you want to join this conversation. This is an interactive discussion. We are not here to talk at you. We're here to talk with you. We value your input, so feel free to unmute yourself. This session is being recorded. It's available for rewatch on our website. So when you came in, you saw that this is being recorded. So please make sure you say yes so that you can continue with us. As I mentioned, our chat is open. It's open, and we encourage you to jump in the chat. It's open for questions as well. If you have a question during the session, we try to address them. Our guest today is phenomenal with answering questions. She's very good at multitasking. I'll introduce her shortly. But please feel free to type any questions that you have in the chat feature, and we're going to do our best to address all of them. And we also want you to check the chat often for links. If we mention a link in our conversation, it's going to be dropped in the chat. And so you just grab it from there. And that way you'll have it and you don't have to screenshot or write it down. The other thing is we want you to be in the chat to network with each other. Talk to one another. Let everybody know where you're from. I saw a few Deltas on here, maybe a Zeta or two, a couple of folks that work in real estate. So anybody in there, you want to be able to shout each other out, reach out to one another, and network. So we encourage our chat for that. Last but not least, the raise hand feature is available to you. If you want to share your thoughts, please use this feature and you'll be added to the conversation. Again, you can feel free to unmute yourself, but if I see the raise hand, I'm going to pause and make sure that you can get involved in the conversation immediately. Again, please make sure and leave the hand up, because sometimes we have too many pages and I'm scrolling and I don't necessarily see, but leave the hand up so I can find you. All right, all right, all right. Okay, we have some exciting news. And if you're part of the D-Free family, I'm sure you've already seen the email that encourages you to look at our I don't want to call it brand new. I want to call it upgraded, new and improved D-Free Academy. Our academy is something that we have been working on diligently. We hear you. We have responded to you. We are excited about all of the things that it has to offer. We have upgraded the academy. It's really exciting for us on the D-Free side because we get to see it in use. We've been planning it for literally about a year now, and so it's nice to see it come through fruition. These changes are things that we are encouraging because we want to make it easier for you. We want you to have an enhanced user experience, and so we've been very diligent about that. Now, I just want to calm everybody's fears and let you know that it's very, very easy to join the upgraded academy. All you have to do is update your profile. You will not lose any of your information or all of your achievements. We know all of you have marched through the 12 steps, and some of you are facilitators, and some of you have achieved the Divine Nine or even the Delta course. We're going to give you credit for all of that. All that just moving over to make sure that you have it available. We just need you to update your profile. And I'll show you what that looks like. It's really, really simple, but we're giving you a new look. We're giving you a new feel, and we're also giving you new features. And that's what we want to make sure that you take advantage of and that you enjoy it. And so when you saw that notice come through, it was for us to kind of encourage you to kind of move on over and join the movement. And so that's what it's about. So what you're looking at is the homepage. As you can see, it already looks different. You might see one familiar face, and that's our CEO and founder. But again, we have stories on here. We have lots of things, bells and whistles. So I want to make sure that you go ahead and see, but I'll show you what it looks like when updating your profile. Very, very simple. You want to create an account with using your email. Then you want to confirm your email, after which you want to get a password going. And I encourage you to use a strong password. I used something simple, and it told me I had a very weak password. So I was feeling away, but I ended up making it a little bit stronger to protect my account, because we want to make sure that you're protected. In any event, you can also confirm that password. After that, your first name, your last name, create a username, and you are all set. And you'll have access to everything you had access to before and more. So we want to encourage you to do that. As always, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you run into any problems, or if you just want a little help, please feel free to reach out to us at engagement@mydfree.org. That link is going to be dropped in the chat. So our email address will be in the chat, as well as our phone number. And I'll give you more information about that at the close of our time together. But I just wanted to settle everybody and let everybody know we are excited about our upgraded academy, and we want you to take full advantage of it, and feel free to give us some feedback. So yes. So tonight, I am always happy to be able to bring back this special guest. The reason why is because we don't often get to get FaceTime with our executive director. I can tell you a couple of things about her. Not only is she the executive director of D-Free Global Foundation Incorporated, but she's also a mom. So she has a mom point of view. So if you hear her co-host in the background, we encourage him, because we're getting him D-Free already at that young age. In addition to that, she is a lawyer by trade, but most importantly, she is chock full of nuggets and gems and all things D-Free. And I have had the pleasure of hosting many of the classes that she has put forth on behalf of the foundation. And when I tell you folks are being blessed, she has blessed our socks off. She is backed by popular demand. And so to discuss tonight's topic, which I'll go over in a moment, I just want to introduce to some and present to others, none other than our executive director, Tamika N. Stembridge, Esquire. Yes, hair. Looking well.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Excited to be with you guys tonight. We're gonna have fun. We're talking inflation.
Yes. So we're gonna talk about things to do now to protect your money. I know y'all seen it. I know you've seen all this high inflation going up. I know you've seen all of the interest rates changing. And we're D-Free, so we're cognizant of it. We're paying attention. We're watching for it. And so we brought in the specialist, the one who's going to tell us how to do some D-Free things to make sure that we stay put, and that we not only protect our money, but that we move forward in the midst of this inflation. You know, I got a little shook. I got shook with the gas prices. And then when I saw the interest rates change, and I started getting a little shook. So I call on Tamika. That's who I go to. And so I did want to share her with you tonight. So, you know, I'm sharing in any event. Were you ready to dive right in, Tamika?
Let's go. Let's go.
All right, the first thing I wanted to ask about, in this season, I know when COVID hit, a lot of us were caught out without an emergency fund. Can you kind of tell us what we can do now to kind of build an emergency fund, or at least even how much we should have? I mean, I know that the experts say gazillion dollars, but I'm not there, so please.
So first of all, good evening, everybody. I'm really excited to be back with you all. I love the love in the chat. Hey, Joyce. Hey, Miss Royetta. Almost every name on here I recognize in some form or fashion. So it's exciting to be with you guys. One of the things that is challenging about right now is that whatever your plan was, you are forced to unfortunately have to spend more for the same amount or less than what you were getting in the past, just about a month ago, probably. And so for a lot of people, that is a shock to the spending side of your spending plan, not necessarily your savings and investments. And Arbor, you hit the nail on the head. The only thing that's decreasing is our investments. But even in the face of that, I look at all of these things as kind of an opportunity to make an adjustment. It's not always comfortable, but savings is important, especially for times like this, because if your budget is not going as far as it used to go, you still want to be in a position to plan for life's happenings, because they will happen. And, you know we laugh about our Starbucks, we laugh about our Dunkin' Donuts. Aaron now has developed a daily French fry habit that his grandma support, because I'm just not doing that every day. But, those are some of the small things that we can look at to create opportunities for consistent savings or immediate savings, if you will. And so if you've been following the D-Free plan, you kind of already have, hopefully, some level of consistent savings happening, whether it's $10 a week, $20 a week, $50 every time you get paid. Keep that habit going. And if you're able to increase it right now, even if savings rates are not going up, it's the interest that they're charging that's going up, unfortunately. But you don't want to get caught in a situation where you need access to cash. And even though your budget or the spending side of your budget is being stretched further, you don't want to start reducing your savings to make up the difference. And so I think it's important to find those small things that you can create a consistent drip of savings. And in terms of what you should have, we've come across people that have zero savings. And it's very difficult to say to someone who doesn't have savings, oh, you need 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved up. That is very difficult. It's difficult for most people that have been saving to have that much money saved up. And so what we try to recommend is, first, at minimum, like $500, because $500 is enough in many instances to at least pay off your insurance deductible if something happens to your car, or to put a down payment on a new water heater, or to buy that new tire if it blows out. $500 will get you started on most financial emergencies. From a 500, then we would say 1,000. 1,000 is enough in some instances to cover a month's rent, or to cover a month of your mortgage, or at least to cover a car note and some household bills. And so again, if life happens to you, you're able to dip into your savings and not have to rely on a credit card. And then from there, you might want to move to a full month. And again, you do this by consistent savings. This is not something that we're saying, okay, take your whole paycheck next week and put in a savings account, because for most people, that's not realistic. If you have not been saving, your life depends on your paycheck. And so you can't just say, stop, I'm going to take this week's check and put in this. I wish that was the case. But even with that said, and I know one of the things we'll talk about is what to do with your tax return. If you're in a season where you might be getting a bonus at work, or your raise might kick in, or you may be getting ready to have a yard sale or an online sale, because we probably should do some of that cleaning out. If you're cleaning out some things, you're going to sell some stuff, put that money in a savings account, as opposed to immediately spending it or thinking of it as cash to spend. So I know that was long, but it was a lot packed in there.
I was just going to say, I'm so glad that you answered the way that you did, because there were just so many nuggets. This is what I'm talking about, guys. There's just always some gems in there. So the first thing I definitely heard you say is consistency. So it's more about consistently you putting away and developing the habit of putting something away, whatever it is. And so that is freeing for a lot of us, because like you said, folks are looking for a big chunk or big savings right away. So that is very, very freeing. So I thank you for sharing that. Another thing that you mentioned was even being able to have enough to cover the insurance deductibles. That was another freeing opportunity to say, okay, at least I got 500, and the incremental going up of being able to save. So that takes the weight off. So if you haven't started saving already, excellent nuggets for that. And that definitely helps. One of the things that we get asked often is that, should we save in lieu of paying down our debt? Let me just, not pay down this, or do we attack all the debt first and then pay down the saving? Then start saving.
It is one of those things that you kind of need to be doing at the same time, because it's the catch-22. If you take all your money and pay down your debt, when life happens, you're unfortunately going to be forced to go back to a credit card or to have to borrow money to deal with when life happens. And life happens could be anything. Like I said, it could be a tire blowing out. It could be something going at the house. It could be needing to make an emergency purchase. Those things really do exist. And so you want to be able to do both at the same time. So don't I'm not saying be aggressive with paying down your debt. I just want to say be equally attentive to building your savings at
That's
the same time.
that's rich. That's
Yeah.
rich. You also dropped a little hint in there that we're going to be talking about what to do with our tax returns. I know this is a come up season for a lot of folks. That direct deposit just dropped in, and some
Hmm.
people want to ball out, get excited, go shopping. Some people attack debt, but just to end back up in the same situation, like you said. So, do you have any suggestions of when we get an influx of cash, for instance, like you said, the bonuses or the tax returns? Any ideas what we should be doing with it?
So for everyone, it's going to be different. I'm a fan of like kind of having your top 5 financial goals or financial priorities, like immediate items. So if someone gave you $500, I always use this example when we're teaching. If I gave you $500 today, what would you do with it? And you should have 5 things on your list that you would do with $500 if anybody gave it to you. And you should treat your tax return the same way. It might be, I'm going to pay off one credit card and save the rest. It might be, I'm going to, pay an extra month on my car note or get ahead on my mortgage. Like those are small goals that make big differences along the way. And so I like to say, keep like 5 things on your list. It might be that one credit card that if you just paid it off, then that becomes the emergency use only card and it's done and you can still save some money. I am always going to be a fan of splitting the difference. You're never, and I don't know if that's the lawyer in me, but I'm never going to say, put all your money in the savings account, put all your money towards debt, put all your money towards investments. One, because like I said, everybody's life is different. And a lot of times you're trying to work on multiple things at the same time. Like you might be paying down your student loans and trying to save to buy a house or trying to save to buy a car or trying to save to do something else. And so to the extent that you can divide what's coming in amongst those 5 goals, you can kind of attack them at the same time. And during this time, I know we're talking a lot about inflation. We don't know what's going to happen
Right.
with the economy. And so you have to be somewhat cautious in terms of how you're using what's available to you today, even as you watch what you have put away for the future fluctuate. This is not the time to go into your 401k and take it all out because you see it disappearing. You can't do better than the market. So just let the market do what it's going to do from a future proofing standpoint. The reason it's called long-term savings is because it's built to endure the ebbs and flows of the market. And so you don't want to do anything dramatic in this season. This is not the time to close all your accounts. This is not the time to decide, unless you just have tons of money socked away, that you're going to make a huge investment in something that you've never heard of before. It's almost, I don't want to say be conservative. And again, this is not financial advice. This is lifestyle advice. This is think about what your life is doing and make the decisions for you. But you just want to be really conscious of what's happening and know that you can't control it individually. I wish I could go to the gas pump and say, no, I'm not paying you $4.92 for regular gas, but you can't do that. You need gas. You have to get to where you got to go. So $4.92 is what you're going to pay. But what I can do is adjust where I'm going regularly. I can decide that I'm not going to drive to the beach, even though it's 90 degrees outside. I'm gonna go sit in my backyard and put my feet in the kiddie pool. So those are the kind of things that you have to make decisions about. And it's tough. It really is tough. I think about food. My sister just actually went through a crisis with baby formula. So not only is it not available, but people were price gouging. And so she was like, she's like, I'm glad that I can afford a $50 container of food that's normally $25, but we don't know how that's going to show up in other areas as well. And so you kind of want to play it close to the vest. You want to have some cash available to you and easy to access. You don't necessarily want to be tying your extra savings up. While I would normally recommend like a CD or something like that offers a higher interest rate in terms of saving, now is not the time that you want, your money tied up for 6 months and you can't get to it if you really might need it in 6 months. So a traditional savings account, you can still use like online savings where you get a little bit more money, but you want to be very cautious about what you're doing with what you have access to right now.
Wow. Tamika, you just dived right into like my next segue. So I definitely want to touch on that. But before I do, I have to do a public service announcement because the Deltas are in the chat. So Ms. Wimbush, I see what you said. Hello, somebody. Everything has gone up except for my income. So we shouting her out. We want to shout out Ms. Royetta, also a member of Delta Sigma Theta. She said, build that emergency fund and or savings and name it the Life Happens account. So again, these are little things that we notice about each other. So if it's in the chat, then it means that somebody else is going through it as well. So thank y'all, because keep it going, keep the chat going. We see you. You mentioned our budgets and our spending plans. And I love this about this, but I love the fact that I've called it a spending plan, but now that money is going up and inflation going up, I won't call it a spending plan. I want to call it. Now I'm ready to go back.
Now you want to call it a budget. Now you want to tighten back up. You don't want to give your money permission to do anything.
On a budget. That's so funny. And one of the things that affects my budget is gas. You mentioned that as well. So I'm glad you mentioned just reconsidering where we're going. Is there anything else we can reconsider as we look at our budget? Because the way we traditionally did it versus how we have to do it in this season of inflation and this season of, uncertainty, should we be looking at different things? Should we be reconsidering things? That was an innovative thing to mention. The gas is something I never would have thought about. I'm just going to go where I normally go. But now I have to reimagine it, like you said. So any other suggestions?
I'm thinking, but I'm also paying attention to Arba's comment about the shooting in Buffalo and how it's affected grocery store visits. It's affected me, and I'm not in Buffalo. I have been a fan of either grocery delivery or grocery pickup for a while, not because of that reason, but now even more so. Like, I'm like always looking for an exit anywhere I go. And so if I cannot go to the grocery store, that's the goal. But you can reevaluate almost everything. Groceries, are there snacks that your waistline doesn't need nor your wallet that you can stop buying? Are there, is it, I hate to go to like hair and nails, but are those options? It's unfortunate that some of our lifestyle conveniences have to change. I'm not saying they have to disappear, but they have to change a little bit when things start to go. And honestly, as much as we want to go back to budget life, the spending plan actually gives you a little bit more freedom to figure out where you can cut, because you can realistically see your savings and your giving commitments. There go my co-host. Your bills. What does that look like? Is there an opportunity to contact your bills, electricity, water, and see what options they have available? 1 second, child. Your debts. Is there an opportunity for you to call and say, I've been a good customer? Are there any opportunities for an interest rate reduction or any other benefits that you guys may have available for me, over time? And then the lifestyle expenses. We always go after that category first. But in the spirit of self-care, I will challenge us to say, what can you adjust? Not necessarily what do you delete? And so, maybe if you go to get your hair done every 2 weeks, maybe it's once a month. Nails, same thing. Maybe it's once a month. Or when there's a special occasion happening. And it's tough. Businesses are also, especially small businesses, are experiencing the same kind of things we are from an inflation standpoint. Supplies cost more for them. So you actually might start seeing increases in some of the services that you're being provided because they can't get access to product. And so, it becomes a trickle down effect and we're all affected by it. But we just have to start making decisions. And it all goes back to values. Like, we start with D3 around what you value and what's important to you. And it's always going to be the same thing. Before you reevaluate the budget, you think about what's important. So for me, it's like, okay, if my son is going to eat French fries, he needs organic French fries because he eats so many of them. I need to make sure they at least are good. And so I can't cut that, but I might cut down on the snacks that I like to make sure that he has what he needs. And again, it's about sacrifice, but also adjustment. And I just welcome the opportunity to make the adjustment versus just being like, oh my God, the world is ending and food ain't on the shelf. And I've never seen it get super bad, but I know they're like, my grandparents have lived through that. So they're unfortunately used to having, to shrink the budget, to cut things back. And I think it's up to us to just kind of evaluate how we allow the economic changes to affect us. Arba, are you okay in Buffalo? Like, how, I don't want to go off topic, but have you experienced any other adjustments based on the Buffalo shooting in your area?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Prayerfully, thank you. My family and my loved ones were not affected. So There's been a lot of outpouring for people coming here in Buffalo. So we've been known as the city of good neighbors, and that has definitely been happening.
Good. Well, thankfully you guys have not been affected, but our prayers are with all of our people in Buffalo, because we know, when it affects any of us anywhere, we're all kind of affected somewhat. And so to be that close to it, I can't imagine what that looks like.
Thank you so much for that pause. And definitely we are going to be praying for those in Buffalo and around the world, around the country, especially all of us who are, concerned about just the color of our skin.
Mhm.
They posted today, so I'm with you there. But there was something that you mentioned that really caused me to have like a confessional, transparent moment. You mentioned revisiting some of the things with D Free. And in preparation for our time together tonight, as well as just kind of in my annual let's start D Free all over again thing, which I have to do it annually, that's a confession of mine. I noticed something that stood out in the last class we taught, which I believe was a Delta class. And you mentioned that we have to reevaluate calling folks and checking on, and you just mentioned it today, calling, checking on our accounts and doing different things. And I have such a confession, because for as long as I've been with D-Free, there was something that was going on in my account that I was completely unaware of. And it was me looking at my insurances again. What happened was I have an automatic deductible thing that's coming out of my insurance. It's an auto pay, you get a discount with it. I was all excited. And I moved from one home to another and purchased new insurance. However, because it was under the same umbrella with two different insurance companies, but it was the same exact amount, they were double dipping. They were double dipping. They were taking it out twice. There's our codes. They were double dipping. They were taking it out twice a month. But I kept looking, saying, I know I just paid this. Why is it coming out again? But it wasn't like, it was all like, one was the 5th of the month. The other one was like the 20th. So I kept thinking I must have missed it, but it was an auto pay. So fast forward, I picked up the phone and called, and I found out for over a year and a half, I've been paying 2 policies. I was so embarrassed, but I still had to tell you all, it ended up netting me over $1,000 in return. They started off telling me they could only return 3 months. And then I said, I need to speak to somebody else. And that, again, that's the D Free in me. And I went up the line and I was able to get over $1,000 back. Unexpected, found money I spent. I feel like I put it in a savings account the way that they took that money out, but I was able to get it back. And so I just, one of the things that you said about D Free, again, I see your hand, Danita, I'm going to pull you in 1 second. Just seeing that awakening, that aha moment means that as much as we all tap into D Free and share D Free with others, and we share the curriculum with others, and we, teach and we facilitate, is never, ever a time where we can't go back and learn something new. And so at this time, I'm going to call in Miss Danita. Will you unmute yourself and join the conversation?
Hey, sisters, happy, marvelous Monday, money making Monday.
Yes.
I too have to share, as a result of being a graduate of that last class, I am one of those individuals who does not monitor bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, my wondering eyes did I find I had been hacked in one of my bank accounts.
Wow.
I was livid. And what they were doing is taking out small amounts. On one day, there were actually 14 different transactions for amounts like $10.98, $1.09. And I went to, of course, I went up to the bank, shamefully, but I'm just going to tell the truth, shame the devil, pin curls and all, because I could not understand who was in my money. And this is real.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the second time, and this is a different bank account that I have been hacked. The last time was about 6 years ago. And I thought I took every precaution, put all the fraud protections on, but it is something real. Sisters, brothers, please monitor your account, because you don't notice the $10 here or the $5 there. And I didn't. And to your point, they want to hold me hostage and say, oh, we got to do an investigation and it's going to take this. I said, the devil is a lie. Somebody going to give me back my money, because I didn't hack myself. And you see, this is an account that I only deposit in. I never withdraw. So there should have been a red flag on your end. And do I have fraud protection? I most assuredly do, but they didn't catch it. I did. So signing off, watch your money because somebody else is too.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Wow.
you for sharing that. Spoken like a true economic development committee member, a national economic community member. So thank you so much for sharing that. And it shows that we all got to be vigilant. We do. I'm so happy that you shared that. And the thing is, always think of hackers as taking large chunks of money or wiping you out. They were doing it incrementally, real small. And that's crazy.
That's, Dr. Soaries actually had that happen a few years ago. And it was small amounts, multiple times that you just don't pay attention to. And that's how people get you. And I would say, yes, continue to check your account. Shonda, yes, you're doing Itsy Bitsy Spider. Being vigilant. We're not talking about the Itsy Bitsy Spider tonight, right now, okay?
Well,
who y'all? Yes, Spider. Can you go tell Daddy Itsy Bitsy Spider? Now he wants to perform, but sorry about that. You really do have to pay attention to what's happening in your accounts even more closely now, because to your point, the banking institutions have kind of stopped paying attention, especially for smaller accounts, because there's so much activity happening. They pay attention to the higher value accounts. And I'm not making any assumptions about what anyone's bank account looks like. But it really is important that you're vigilant, because they do hold you responsible for identifying the fraud and then waiting to do the investigation. And I'm like, wait, like you said, this is my money. I didn't do anything wrong. It is protected. How do I gain access to the protections that you say I have when I have a bank account? And also because so many things are digital. So my email was hacked last week. And the first thing the person did was make it look like I was sending out invoices to people. And so they were trying to invoice people from using my D-Free account, like, hey, such and such, using my voice and everything, my signature, all of that. Can you process invoice, yada, 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 yada. And so there's all kinds of digital fraudulent activity happening. And because so much of our activities are connected via our email address, via your cell phone, it's a lot easier for hackers to get in. And if you're not paying attention, that's what they count on. That's how we tell you to get used to using cash, to reacclimate yourself with the value of money, to pay attention to what's going in and out. Because the minute you stop paying attention, and Shonda, to your point, to your situation, you were being vigilant. You were paying your bills on time. You had it set on auto pay. Like, it takes a certain level of financial okayness to put things like that on auto pay. And you ended up overpaying. So again, even in our responsible activities, you could end up in a situation where your money is just going, and either out of fear, out of, caution, out of over preparedness, you're making the assumption that it's something you've done wrong, and that's not the case. And so you really have to I recommend at least a quarterly audit of your spending plan. I'm a fan of a monthly check, because there are certain things, like I go back and forth, like, do I really need Weight Watchers? Do I not? Like, my waistline appreciated, but am I disciplined enough now to let it go? And so, those are the kind of things that you can make adjustments on, even if it's not fraudulent. But again, when you're not paying attention, things do happen, even if you're being responsible with your money. So
Thank you so much for even that information. I see Shonda's in the chat actually going through disputing a fraud transaction right now. And Ms. Pitts, I see that you said you still keep a check register of your own. That's excellent. That's great for reconciling your accounts instead of relying totally on all digital kind of things. So that was really, really good. One thing I wanted to also, since I'm in a confessive mood, we were talking about some spending leaks, and I discovered a new one for me that I had to kind of repent and go back, which is part of the reason why I ended up dealing with my D-Free all over again. And it was those things that have become available. I'm going to say the curse words, please forgive me, but Afterpay. Another curse word is Klarna. Another curse word is Affirm. Another curse word is Zip. I thought you know, if I start doing this, then that's a way of making sure that I don't have interest or that I don't put it on my credit card. I'll just pay these little incremental amounts for bigger purchases, and I get to have the stuff right away. I don't have to wait. You know, it comes right away. See, curse words for sure. Thank you. Yes, I was so excited about them, you know, being able to pay to get these things. And, you know, it started off with a little thing and I was excited, but then I started, you know, multitasking to figure out, well, if I do this small amount, and it began to get be a problem. And I said, you know, regardless of whether it's little bits amounts at one time, it's still a big amount that I don't need to spend. And so I was very vigilant about paying it off. But I want to make sure that, I mean, is it something that we should use responsibly or just stay away? I know it's like layaway, but Tamika, what do you think?
I was just typing in the chat. I know those curse words as well. I've used them. I actually have accounts probably with all of them at this point. I think if anyone's lived through the pandemic, you probably have. But the thing about it is, though, it's almost like it's very similar to the 10% off at Macy's if you get a credit card or something like that. You know, they lure you in with, oh, you can just pay $29.99 4 times and then you can have this $100 thing. And you have to, I'm a fan of not using an interest bearing thing to buy something. But again, it's everything in moderation. You know, the more you have, and now there's so many different options like that. It's easy to lose track. And it can also become very similar to credit cards because you have so many things. And the hard part about those different curse words, the Afterpay and the Klarna and all that, is that they make you attach your debit or credit cards to them and the payments come automatically. Yes. And so if you're like me, most of my shopping occurs during the weeks that I get paid. So any shopping, whether it's groceries, whatever, it's like whenever I get paid, that's how everything is designed to go out. You could end up in a situation where you're either blowing your personal spending budget or you now have 6 different things dipping into your account for $15 and $20 that you're not paying attention to because you have the thing, you wore the thing, you don't even care about the thing no more. And it's really, really, I don't want to say it's hard to keep track of, but it's easy to spend $100 or $150 every 2 weeks paying off little $20 purchases if you have multiple of them across multiple accounts. And so it almost starts to feel like credit card debt, but it's not. And it's just as addictive because you can shop, it's immediate, every outlet allows it. Yes. It's getting more and more insidious to keep you shopping and to keep you spending. And that's the goal. Even if they can't charge you interest, they can keep you spending. I believe, and I have not done this research, but I believe a lot of these companies are likely supported by retail outlets.
Right.
Because you figure if Target can't get you to get a credit card, well, if I can't get you to get a credit card, I can get you to spend more if I break your bill down into 4 payments.
Right.
Or if I break it down into 6 payments. So now you're not thinking about the $500 you spent, you're thinking about the $56 you got to pay for the next 6 months or 6 weeks or however they do it. And so it's really important to just pay attention to how the industry is changing. And the goal is never really to make it easy for you to save or manage your money. The goal is to make it easy for you to spend it. That's what their goal is.
Listen, I'm glad I opened up the lines for confession because it looks like we have a testimony service right here in the chat. So it looks like Arba says her confession is receiving restaurant gift cards for $25 and then spending way more than that on dinner. You know, we're all guilty of that. It's not just restaurant gift, it's any gift card. You go in there with that set amount and you just, oh, well, this is a little, because you're not really paying that much because this is coming out your pocket, but you got this, it's almost like getting a discount. So listen, you're not alone with that, Miss Arba. I see Joyce Argo is in the chat saying several years ago, she decided when she sees something that she wants, she would wait 24 hours before she purchased
48. She got a lot of discipline. 24 hours I can wait. 48 makes it hard.
Yeah, that's another confession. I need glasses. 48 hours before making that purchase. 48 is really good. 24 hours, I can't really sit, especially when it's right there on my computer and keeps reminding me. So that's really good with the 48. Thanks for the correction. Just to think about whether or not she actually needs it. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Tamika. Saying that the more you have and the more options you have to use, it's easy to lose track of them and to overspend. That is absolutely true. And thank you for that. That helped me that helped me in my moment. And Credit Karma is sponsored by credit card companies. Okay. Thanks for that nugget. Yes, and loan companies, absolutely both. So we're grateful for that information. Thanks for sharing it. There was something else I wanted to ask about. In this season where inflation is going up, and like I said, the interest rates are going up, if you're interested in paying down your debt, do you recommend one option over the other, like the avalanche method over the snowball method? Or, what do you think we should be doing? I almost feel like everyone needs to just pay off debt so that we don't, get overcharged for the things we already have. What is your suggestion?
So there's two things. Of course, I'm going to say it depends, but it does depend. If you can beat the interest rates going up by doing it a certain way, do it. The good news is most credit card interest rates are fixed and shouldn't be changing based on what the market is doing. So if your interest rate was 16%, it should be 16%. Normally it changes based on what your credit profile is doing. But again, if you start to see your credit card rates going up, make the phone calls, because if your behavior hasn't changed, they should not be charging you anything more. Again, if you're thinking about doing the avalanche method and you're not already doing it, think about whether or not you can afford it and how much of an impact it's going to have on your debt repayment. Because again, the avalanche method is when you pay off the highest interest rate debt first to the lowest.
Did you say that one more time for the people in the back? What is the avalanche method?
So the avalanche method is when you list out your debts from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate, and you try to pay them off in that order. Now, mathematically, that is the cheapest way to pay off debt. However, it does tend to take a little bit longer to see the results, because the debts with the higher interest rate tend to be the debts that have the higher balances as well. So you might have a credit card that's a $2,500 credit card or more. I use moderate numbers. And so it's going to take you a little bit longer to pay off a $2,500 credit card than it would to pay off a $250 credit card. Again, I tend to recommend starting with the snowball method so you can get some quick wins and start to build up some extra cash, and then switch to the avalanche method when you have, maybe an extra $100 per month to pay towards your debt, not necessarily an extra 20, because it may not feel like you're making an impact by paying an extra $20 on a $2,500 bill, whereas that $20 makes a bigger difference on the $200 bill, if that makes any sense. And so the snowball method, just to flip it. So if the avalanche method you're listing, I wish I had the slide up. The avalanche method is from highest interest rate to lowest interest rate. The snowball method is when you list your debts from lowest balance to highest balance, and you pay off the debt with the lowest balance first, and you use the money that you would have used for that, whatever the minimum payment was for that bill, you add it to your next highest debt. So if you had, let's say, three bills, you had a $100 bill, you had a $200 bill, and a $300 bill. You pay you want to pay the $100 bill off, pay that off completely. And the $10 a month that you were paying on that every month, you're going to go to your $200 bill and say, okay, you guys only need $20 a minimum. I'm going to give you 30 because I had $10 left from that $100 bill that I already paid off. And so I'm going to give you 30. And by paying $30 a month instead of $20 a month, you should pay that $200 bill off faster. And then once you're done with that, now you can take that $30 and apply it to your $300 bill every month. So that $30 a month you're paying, now you can pay 60. And so as you can see, you're increasing the amount that's available to pay on your bills every month. And the reason we say it feels better is because it seems a little bit more aggressive. Like you start to see impact immediately, because now you've paid off 3 bills instead of just diligently chopping away at that $2,500 bill, which again, either way is attacking your debt. But the snowball method allows you to get those quick wins. And suddenly, once you've paid off that $300 bill, now you have an extra $60 a month.
Yes.
And so you can flip it and say, okay, now I'm going to do it by interest rate, because giving an extra $60 to that higher bill is going to actually make a dent now. Or at least I feel like I'm making progress because I've paid off 3 things. And now I can start off on this big bill. And again, you can go back and forth, however you want to do it. It's all about, we try to balance the financial impact, but also the lifestyle implications and the mental and spiritual and emotional aspects of managing your money. So it's not always, I mean, of course, our goal is to be debt free and to be accumulating wealth, but you also have to realize we're humans.
Yes.
We respond to emotional triggers. We respond to spiritual things. We respond to life happening to us. You know, God forbid somebody rear end you. You might just go shopping because you're too stressed out. You're like, oh my Lord, I can't, I didn't broke up my car. And I just need, if I buy some shoes, maybe I'll feel better. And that's dramatic, but it happens. Like you think about it, when you feel like, and I've been here, so I can attest to this personally, when you feel like life is just dealing you a hand, sometimes just walking through TJ Maxx or Home Goods makes you feel better.
Right.
You know, buying some extra soap that you don't really need, some lotion or a candle or something really changes your mood. And, you know, Home Goods and TJ Maxx, they play on that, but that is human conditioning in a capitalist society. We're taught and we're trained that consumption makes you feel better.
Wow. That is a whole big old nugget right there. I'm telling you. I'm also glad that you mentioned, you know, flipping from one method to the other. That is how I kind of attacked my debt, was by, you know, a combo kit. You know, once I had to see immediate results. And so when I saw the immediate, you know, little ones getting paid off, I was like, oh, okay, that's free, that's free, that's free. And then when I moved to the bigger one and started attacking that, it felt, you know, very much the same way. But I did want to say, I'm hoping that you'll be able to help us so that when we do get free and we do have all these beautiful empty credit cards that we're supposed to use, do you have any suggestions as to things that we can, because we're supposed to use them in order to keep them going and so that they don't close them out, but do you have any suggestions on things that we can do in moderation so that we don't go crazy when we're free?
So, and Arba just had a good point. She said that, you know, she got an offer from an upgraded Amex, and as your credit gets better, you start getting more offers for more credit. That's the goal. That is the goal. So while they love to keep all of us in the trenches of debt, the reality is, and this is the flip side, the juggling act of being a part of the credit system, is that when you have good credit, you become a better credit customer because they still some way make money off you. Like Arba said, this card was going to have an annual fee. Now, she didn't take the bait, but most people would have said, oh, more benefits, and would have taken the annual fee, not even realizing that the annual fee replaces whatever interest rate you had. And so they're going to make their money regardless. That's how they make the money, to give you the benefit.
It's interesting. I'm gonna let you get back, but there was another thing that happened. I had a credit card offer me another credit card from the same company. Like the double credit cards. What does that do?
Same thing. Same thing. More ability to spend and potential to rack up interest. Why not give you more than one credit card? And the thing about it is, rather than increase your credit limit on that one card, which will give you better credit utilization, they give you another small amount. Because again, the small amount will trick you, especially if you're in a building state, it'll trick you into thinking you can manage it. And so you're like, oh, I could pay off a $500 card. And so you'll use it for one thing and it's used up. And they rely on the fact that you'll be paying interest on that $500 for months into the future, rather than just giving you a bigger credit line on one card. Yeah.
I'm so glad you did. I'm telling you, the nuggets are phenomenal. Just any other, I think I was leaving off at any suggestions as to little things that we can do to keep those credit lines open and active.
Yes. So think about things that you spend regularly on that you're going to have to use cash for anyway, that happen every month. It could be gas. You could decide, okay, I have to buy gas every week. I pay for it out of my pocket. If if I'm going to pay for it, maybe. So for example, I have one credit card that offers benefits for using Exxon gas. So I use that card at Exxon when I go to get gas so that I get the credit card benefit, but then I pay that card off every month because again, I'm paying for gas. So I have to keep money allotted in my budget to make sure I pay that credit card off in full. Like my gas budget is allotted to that credit card. It could be your gym membership. If you're now responsible enough again and you have a gym membership, put the $20 a month on one card so that it happens, you pay it off every month. The same thing for like a magazine subscription. Even though it's once a year, it might be enough to keep a card active and going. Or groceries. Again, the things that you can do consistently and pay off. I think, for me, the favorite is like a gym membership because it's a consistent amount every month. Gas, especially with gas prices going up, could be hard because you might be tempted to fill up even though you can't really afford to fill up. But the basic things are helpful. just to keep your cards active. Think about things that you normally spend money on. Hey, Beverly Cooper, you have a comment? Go ahead and get off mute. I see your hand.
I just wanted to say that an excellent way to lower your balance is by paying the minimum amount due, if that's all you can do, and then add on to that whatever the finance charge is. So if your minimum amount due is, let's say, $60, and if your finance charge is $20, if you send in $80, that next month you will see your bill going down. And if you make that your minimum payment, you'll go places faster.
Yep, I agree. Because what's happening is you're paying on the interest, you're paying down the interest. And so credit card companies get off. The way your bill keeps going up is because if you don't pay at least the finance charge every month, the next month they charge you whatever you charged, plus the finance charges you didn't pay last month, plus interest on top of that. So that's how you keep seeing your credit card bill go up, even if you're paying the minimum payment, because you're not paying your finance charge off every month.
Oh, yes. Another suggestion in the chat there, cell phone monthly bill.
Yes,
absolutely.
Evaluate your cell phone bills regularly. I had someone, I don't know if it was on a D-free call or something, they were continuously being charged the phone charge. So, when you get a new phone and they may charge you like the $22 a month, instead of paying $2,000 for a phone, you pay $22 a month until the phone is paid off. Well, they never stopped charging her the phone charge.
Oh, wow.
And she knew she'd been paid the phone off 2 years ago. And now it is 4 years later. And they were trying not to give her the money back for the phone. They said, oh, you were supposed to let us know.
The responsibility is hers.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So look at the fine print on those things, because more often than not, companies are trying to pass the responsibility on to us to manage their special offers. And they're basically just hoping you don't pay attention is what's happening.
Well, I just want to say, like I said, you have been giving a lot of nuggets. I had a lot of questions on behalf of our community, but at this time, we got about 8 minutes left. Are there any comments or questions that anybody else might have? I've been trying to steer the conversation, but feel free at this time to jump in. I love when we have access to Mika. Like I said, she's a wealth of knowledge. So if there's anything you want to ask at this time, we're going to kind of open the floor for that. You can just unmute and let us know.
I was going to add, good evening, everyone. This is Karen Ford. I was going to also say, check like your DirecTV bills or any other bills that you can see that you can decrease or do without. So that's what I plan to do. And whoever the person was who said they didn't check their banking accounts, I got hacked. And because of D3, I always said, check do your morning meditation and your 7 minutes.
7 minutes?
Yes. So that was a policy that I have done since I started D3, because I had been before.
All right.
To that point, I'll also add all of your subscriptions. So I know a lot of us did, like, you might have gotten rid of cable, but you added Netflix, Hulu, and all that stuff. By the time you add up all those, you might be paying a cable bill again. So just double check them, make sure your rates are still the same, because again, those are things that are set up on auto pay. And I know the Netflix rates went up. So just be careful of those as well.
Great idea. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to put something on auto pay. I see Ms. Arbor has raised her hand.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'm of course, in the state of New York, but check your state for any kind of grants for doing any kind of efficiency to your home. Or I found out even if you rent, I'm sorry, that's for the landlord. But either way, if you own, and check your state website, that we are getting a substantial amount of what is it called? Oh my God, I can't even think of it. The insulation. We are getting a substantial amount of insulation done in our home because there's a state grant to make your home more efficient. So look into stuff like that. You could really end up saving a whole lot of money. Electricity, insulation, whole lot of other things.
Yes, check for it, but also check for the companies that you use, because again, the same way we talk about Credit Karma being sponsored by these companies. So a lot of
Yeah.
times you have to pay, like if it's not a grant, like they may say, oh, you'll get a rebate on your taxes. They're doing that because the companies that provide that service have lobbied the government to get that benefit, to say, okay, well, if you get X number of households to buy solar paneling, will, you know, the government will say, okay, then we'll give them a tax rebate. Like that's the government's way of kind of pay to play without us knowing it's pay to play. But yes, you should absolutely check for that. And if it makes sense, again, for you fiscally to do it, absolutely, because even improving the efficiency in your home, it'll just reduce your bills every month at the very
Exactly.
least, even if you don't get the benefit on the back end. Good point.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you 1,000 times. Thank you. I know you all were definitely blessed. Oh, wait, did I see another hand?
Yep, Margie Aldridge.
Yep, I'm gonna stop.
Hi, I would just want to make a comment concerning cell phones. We switched from one of the big parent companies, and I don't know if I should call names or whatever, to one of the, can I say, budget plans. And we got a substantial reduction in what our cell phone bill is. And we found out they use the same towers. So your service is just as good. You can get unlimited data, the whole bit, but you have to pay, I call it prepaid. You gotta pay your bill on that particular day or they'll cut you off, which is really not a bad deal because we were letting ours stack sometime and we looked up and we were owing $300 and $400 for a cell phone bill. Well, this way we pay that a monthly fee every month and our service is just as good. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you for
I'm so
sharing
glad
that.
you mentioned. Absolutely. Yes, I'm so glad. This is good. That cell phone seems to be a spending leak for some of us. So we got to make sure we all reevaluate our cell phones and you know, how we can better manage those. So if that's you, thank you so much, Miss Aldridge. Thank you everybody who contributed. Thank you to our co-host. Hello there. Definitely want to thank for everybody that's here tonight. I'm looking at the time, so we're almost ready to wrap up. We certainly want to thank God for our Executive Director of D3 Global Foundation, Tamika N. Stembridge Esquire, for her time tonight. As always, Tamika drops the gems, but she also gives valuable information that we can use. We can use it now. We just want to celebrate real quick the $1 Billion Challenge that we've paid down $36,159,422 to date. Thank you, you, and you. We are so happy about this number. It means that we are marching to our $1 billion amount. Yes, Aaron, we celebrate this. Thank you to all who contribute to paying down their debt. We see movement, we see action, and together we are closing the wealth gap, one family at a time. And if you're not already registered, then we encourage you to register on BillionDollarPaydown.com or BillionDollarChallenge.com. They all lead to the same destination. And we just actually logging payments for bills you're already paying. So you're just logging your debt. And what's exciting about it is that not only are we logging, it's a communal effort, but it's also confidential. We don't know your business. We don't know your account numbers. We don't need your blood type. We don't need your social security number. So please make sure that you join this movement. It's a powerful movement and we see it growing day by day. If you have any questions, always you can visit our website, which is dfreefoundation.org. If you want to sign up for that improved D3 Online Academy, you can do that at www.mydfree.org, where you can take D3 classes as well as facilitate classes. And so we encourage you to do that. I mentioned the $1 Billion Challenge, but it's always nice to hear it twice. You can feel free to show up and to sign up for that or encourage other people, because on the other side of the pay down of debt, we also have accumulating savings. So we want to see those savings accounts grow and to protect ourselves. And so we want to make sure that you help us to reach $1 billion worth of savings as well. I mentioned earlier that I will put this number up for all of you. If you have any questions or have any trouble navigating the new site, or if you have any issues, please feel free to contact us at 844-693-3733 extension 1. Our team is always ready to answer and ready and willing. You can also email us at engagement@mydfree.org. Tonight, I also want to thank those on the team who are working in the background. We always appreciate the sacrifice of everybody signing up and coming on at 7 p.m. Eastern and hanging out with us till 8 p.m. Eastern. So as we close, I just want to say thank you. And the next time we meet, It'll be the second Monday in June. I'll give you some more information about that via email. So look for our message to you guys. Any closing remarks, Tamika, as we get ready to sign off?
No, I just want to say thank you. Hang in there. You guys have the tools and resources to beat what's going on. Just stay consistent, stay the course, and tell somebody, because not all of us is getting it right now. So tell somebody.
All right. Thank you again, everybody, for showing up. God bless you and good night. Have a
Good night.
week.
Say bye, Aaron. Never mind. He done took my phone. See you later. Good night.